Which is really a very old affirmation, and if it is possible for you to stand up and say it together, that makes it more energized. And the declaration is 1, 2, 3. There is something wonderful happening in my life right now. I know it, I feel it, I expect it, and we provide spiritual tools for personal and universal transformation. And so we are just so grateful that you are here, and that as we are later reaching out on Facebook and anywhere else, that we honor you for wherever you are on your spiritual path. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here with us today. We are here at the Museum of Contemporary Art in Arlington, and so alas, we are not Zooming today, but we will be back on Zoom next Sunday. So I want to thank the music team of Dan and Pete and Holly, and want to thank support of Reverend Jackie and Jason on tech, and Diane with the children. And so with all of that said, I want to acknowledge that we are in many, many ways a brand new center starting out, and we are inviting everyone to come be with us. So we have, we've come to this wonderful focus that says brand new all over again. And so this morning I'm going to invite you to go into the stillness for a moment, and we'll do a very brief shifting of consciousness kind of prayer. And that is, I declare the perfect unfoldment of our center, Center for Spiritual Living Metro. It is radiantly prospering in every aspect and expression of spiritual community. Love, growth, abundance, and overflowing good. I know that this expansive energy and consciousness ripple out to all humanity. And so it is.
So it is.
So with that, I want to now introduce our practitioner of the day, taking care of pulpit, and she just happens to be my assistant minister. And I am very, very proud of that. I am very, very grateful for that. And so, you're on. Reverend Jackie.
Woohoo! Jackie! Okay. Are you going to do music? Yes. Well, I mean, it says it all. You think we read that? Okay. Sorry.
No, we're not
No.
gonna, we are gonna do a meet and greet. Okay. Well, I think we already met and greeted.
Yeah, okay. All right, so I'll just go on with the affirmation then.
What?
The next affirmation, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Next affirmation.
Well-
It is on the insert.
Yes, I am Reverend Jackie LaBar, and please join me, those of you who are here, that's right, we're all here. On your sheet is the affirmation that we say about the power for good.
Yes.
There is a power for good in the universe that is greater than I am, and I am using it now. I am using it to do my part to create a world that works for all. Together, we inspire individuals to awaken to their own divinity. We are here to make a huge difference. Woo! Oh, that feels good. That feels really good. And so in that good feeling that we just created with that incredible two affirmations, accepting what is and being part of making that difference, let's just close your eyes for a moment and come into that space within where there's only oneness. There's nothing but that, where you know your divinity. And let's just take a nice deep breath and connect with that for this whole month. We're talking about authenticity. And while you be in this space, let's listen to some beautiful music from our music team. I'm here to
to remind me of my magnificence, to help me awake to all the wonder that I am. You long to show me all the joy I am worthy of. You're here to remind me how much I'm truly loved.
And as we remember our magnificence, and we assist others to remember their magnificence, I know that there is only one. There's only one power and presence, one life, the life of all life. And it is that power and presence which creates all in the universe. So I know that everyone who is here today in person, everyone who hears the sound of my voice is a unique expression of this power, this presence that I choose to call God. And so what I know is that it is the one mind, it is the divine that guides and directs this time that we have together, bringing forth exactly what each person who hears this needs to hear, touching that space within where we are reminded of our true magnificence. And so I bless this time that we have. I bless everyone who is here today. I bless our musicians, everyone who's put together this. I bless Diane and Gail for the family program that we have for the youth. I bless Reverend Trish for the message that each of us will receive, the one that has been created exactly for what we each need to hear today. And so with that blessing, I just let this go and allow this to unfold in its magnificence. And so it is.
So it is.
And so today for the reading, I'm not going to actually do a reading. I'm going to tell a little story. There's a golden statue of Buddha in Bangkok, Thailand. It's 9 feet, 8 inches tall, and it weighs 5.5 tons of gold. In today's dollars, it's worth approximately $250 million in gold. And it's believed that this statue was built around 1403. So it's been around for that long. But in 1757, the Burmese army invaded Thailand, and they were tearing apart all of the Buddhist temples. They were doing damage to them. And so some monks who were concerned about the safety of this golden Buddha decided to cover it in plaster. They painted it. They put inlaid colored glass to make it a beautiful plaster statue of Buddha, to hide its value to the invading army. So during this invasion, none of the monks survived, but the statue did. No one discovered it. They ignored it because it was just plaster and glass. In 1957, this monastery was being relocated by a group of monks. And so they were taking this statue with them, this very large, very heavy plaster statue. And it fell to the ground. And the clay that was on it cracked. And they were all, oh my gosh, this has been around for so long, and now it's gone. It's broken, it's cracked. And what they saw when they went and looked at it was the golden light coming from within. they discovered the golden Buddha within. So they used a hammer and a chisel and very carefully chipped away all of that clay exterior and revealed this statue made of solid gold. And from that, there's a Buddhist saying that says, under the plaster of thoughts and belief that are not the truth of who we are, there lies our self, our golden Buddha. And so with that, I know we're going to have some music, but I also want to express my gratitude and my love and to introduce our spiritual leader of CSL Metro. After the music, Reverend Trish will come up and help us find that golden Buddha within.
Thank you so much.
With all I know about the universe, you think I have it down, the way it works. If I'm so richly blessed, how come sometimes I'm such a mess? Guess I forget. Help me remember who I am. Help me to trust in the master plan. When I think that I can, remind me I can. Help me remember who I am. I've read the concept and complexities upon some physics and the string theory, but it's the simple stuff, like love is all that I'm made of, that trips me up. Help me remember who I am. Help me to trust in the master plan. When I think that I can, remind me I can. Help me remember who I am. I am a precious child of God, for heaven's sake, not floating somewhere on the breeze. So when I'm feeling kind of small and lost in space, would you remind me, please? Help me remember who I am. Help me to trust in the master plan. When I think that I can, remind me I can. Help me remember who I am. Help me remember who
Oh, wonderful, thank you, and how perfect. Help me remember who I am. That's assuming that I ever came to know who I am. You know, everybody says, hey, I'm gonna remember. Well, first you gotta figure out where it was in the first place. Okay, March is Women's History Month. And so I get to start out on a rather interesting, I think it's interesting, personal note. And that is where, you know, the intention is to celebrate a notable woman each Sunday of the month. And I am honoring Bonnie Chittenden Whitman, who, this obviously a long time ago, and she earned or was licensed as Women's Pilot number 66. Okay, she became part of an organization called the 99ers. They still exist. and there is a plaque for Bonnie in Topeka, Kansas at the central headquarters for the 99ers. It is considered quite a privilege nowadays to earn the right to be a 99er, and there are, of course, by now thousands of people. Bonnie Chittenden Whitman is my mother. So that just felt really good for, picking who the woman would be and why that matters so much, because it's interesting that as a young woman, I don't think there was any question in her mind who she was. She, as a pilot, she was prone to do some rather ridiculous things. I don't know if the term barnstormer means anything to, okay. A barnstormer was someone who flew either small single wings or usually bi-wings. And among the crazy things that was, sort of the test of are you really gutsy, you literally flew your plane through a big barn. And so, and she did. She was a barnstormer. She was a crop duster. She was as stunting things as they were doing then. And she also became an advertising agent in San Francisco. And in that, she, comically enough, her office, if anybody's familiar with San Francisco, the streets come together with some pretty funny addresses. And her office was at 1 Polk Street, 2 Fell Street. So it was 1 Polk, 2 Fell. And here was this gutsy woman, and that was the young woman. And so remembering her authenticity, remembering who she was, the stories abound, and alas, I tried to convince her that she ought to write a memoir before she passed, but it didn't happen. That mostly doesn't, because we get too busy with life. So today we're talking about authenticity. And I want to make a very important point, and that is, and my students get real tired of hearing it, it's important for us to remember what we are, even more importantly than who we are. Because what we are is, as Ernest Holmes said, your soul belongs to the universe, your mind is an outlet through which the creative intelligence of the universe seeks fulfillment. You are a divine being. That's what you are. Who you are evolves after being a young whatever and a barnstormer and a crop duster and all these different roles, and then an advertising agent. She became a mom and actually a wife for a lot of years before she became a mom. Okay, so each of these identities are who we are. And that's why it's so important at all times to remember what we are, because the what we are is consistent. You are an individuation of spirit, expressing an individuation of spirit as human. And individuation of spirit as human expressing in this way. Individuation of human expressing in this next way. Individuation of human or spirit expressing or being human in different roles, in different identities. And sometimes people think, that's not good. I have all these different personalities. But the truth is, we all go through various evolutions, and we bring with us whatever we have gathered along the way. That's the intention, is so that as we are being spirit as human in these different roles, that we always remember that undergirding. That's what causes resilience. Because if we are just the outer expression, if we are just how we are being in the world, then it's a lot like a bobber on the ocean. If there's a swell, we're up, and if there's an ebb, we're down. and we're just all over the place. But when we remember what we are, okay, we're here and we cannot be violated. That's the authentic truth of us. And when we are taking on and doing these different roles, some of them are going to be absolutely awesome. Some of them aren't. In our humanity, we are bound to, I shouldn't speak for anybody, there's no we, it's me. There have been some really good choices. And there have been some really bad choices. Some that had consequence, and I got to learn about the law of cause and effect. I got the consequence for what, I got the effect for what I had caused. Okay, and that being grounded on the truth, which it wasn't for a long time, but when I discovered that absolutely consistent internal state, that essence cannot be violated by anything in the outside world. And I want you to stop for just a moment of recall. Just a moment. And skim back through history. And look at all the highlights. Hey, wow, I was a this and a that, and I did this and that. And whoopee, and there's on the other side of it, and I made these other choices. And those other choices had some consequence. And those consequences maybe weren't very nice to live with. And now look back at them, knowing the truth. Look back at whatever it was, remembering that the self, of course, is perfect, whole, complete. And I like that man is made out of and from life. As effect must partake of the nature of its cause. This, by the way, is from Ernest Holmes. So man must partake of the divine nature from which he springs. We did not create our nature. We cannot change the inherent reality. We are what we are, and we use the divine nature for better or worse. And when I look back at some of those choices that I made that were not so wonderful, and in hindsight, because back when I was making most of those, I did not understand the what. And so I rode the full emotional gamut of the up, the down, the beat up by events and the like, the consequence of my own choices. I didn't understand at that time that no matter what, I was whole, I was perfect, I was an emanation of a divine perfect. And I think about if I had had, like training wheels on my bicycle that said, okay, you can do all these things and you can screw up, and that truth cannot be diminished. That truth is absolutely consistent. And so when I'm thinking about our motto of be you with us, I look back at a lot of those years before I got a glimpse at what that truth is, what that authenticity is. And I was at the whim of all of these different influences. Because I really thought I was authentic. I really believed I was authentic. And somebody would challenge me about, well, you've got to be real. And I'm going, hey, I'm as real as I know how to be. I mean, what else am I? You got to be real. Well, I'm being real. Well, you need to be authentic. And I get caught up in this swirl of what else can I be but what I think I am? Because I didn't know that there was more to be. So when we're looking at authenticity, it's a very interesting journey to find that golden center, to find that Buddha within, to find and understand that I am not, I'm not my story. Part of my story the parts of where it came from are irrelevant, but what is important is I spent years in trying to be okay and belong and fit in, because my constant fear was to be thrown away. I had this ongoing fear of being abandoned, of being thrown away. Not just abandoned as in left behind, but as in being consciously thrown out. And because I didn't know that there was anything more than the life I was living, because I didn't know there was something more, I became a master at being a chameleon. I could fit in. But then I started thinking about a chameleon. And a chameleon fits in, but it doesn't belong. And I had mastered chameleon. I could fit in all over the place. I could change my colors, I could blend, I could make it look like I was totally in the flow of everything. But like the chameleon, I didn't belong on that tree. I didn't belong in that tribe. I didn't belong where I had connection, genuine connection. But boy, I fit in. And so I spent years believing that was my authentic self. I was this role, I was this role, I was this other role. And I did them so well that I believed me. I absolutely believed me. And my fear of rejection, if it occurred to me that I might not stay in that path, the fear of rejection was so huge because it triggered the old memories of being thrown away or being abandoned or not being remembered. And all those spectra would show up. And so I might move from one chameleon identity to the next chameleon identity, but it was all out there in terms of fit in. And so conformity meant to me acceptance. And it doesn't necessarily, it just means you match the tree limb. Conformity doesn't really make much difference. And non-conformity I had in my mind as rejection, as eviction. And so I built various structures around me, and then would come this question of, well, you've got to be authentic, you have to be real. And I was as real as I could be. I didn't know any other way of being. And so I was successful. I was successful, and so somebody'd say, be real, and I'd say, I'm successful. And somebody'd say, well, you need to do this other thing over here, and then you'll know who you really are. And so I would do that thing, and then I'd say, yeah, I am authentic, I am real, I succeeded at doing this thing. And so the path was one of constantly adapting. And very recently, I was in a group, and one of the questions is, how do we need to adapt in order to accomplish whatever it was? And it was interesting this word adapt, all of a sudden I was going, walk back to chameleon, I'm adapting, I can adjust, I can do this other thing. And finally, and sometimes I think, good grief, it took a long time to start looking at what's underneath this. What's going on that I have here in front of me? What is the possibility? And then I encountered, and this of course was a lot of years ago now, then I encountered the opportunity to really look at, we are individuations of spirit, that it is all spirit. And we are individuations of spirit as human. And so if we are individuations of spirit as human, then it goes back to the Holmes quote about we must partake of the nature of our cause. So if we are the inlets and the outlets of spirit, we are spirit as human, then we're a whole lot more than the roles that we've served. We have all kinds of potential in there that is beyond this role and that role. And when taking the time to look at how does that shift how we are, then being grounded in spirit as spirit, partaking of that truth of our being, then we're no longer at the whim of whatever is happening outside us. And when we allow what is happening outside us to dictate what's going on in here, instead of acknowledging this is going on outside of me, we don't play denial or pretense or anything. Yup, that's going on around it. Take it in to look at it in terms of how does that relate, how am I empowered as what I am to deal with whatever's going on. And then make a choice about how I relate to that that's outside, whatever the circumstance. And with the brilliance of the mind of God that is operating the life as each of us, that only really takes a nanosecond to bring it in, grab that awareness of, yes, I am an inlet and outlet of spirit. That is my authenticity. And so I offer a challenge to everybody. And that challenge is kind of like cultivating your garden. You know, it's getting on for, it'll be spring planting time soon for whether it's flowers or veggies or whatever. But address it as an experiment, as a cultivating. And when we look at how we are in the world, when we look at how we have been, then we can start peeling away. And a lot of times the peel the onion illustration is used, but instead peel away the roles that we've played. Just peel them away, see what's underneath. Because one of the things that's really, really delightful to do is to take inventory of your gifts and talents. Because your gifts and talents, somebody say, well, I learned that. Yeah, and you had an aptitude for it. It's the connection of an opportunity to learn with an innate ability. And when you put those together, they're called gifts and talents. And so when you take inventory of those and you're peeling away these roles, you will find certain commonalities that you showed up as a compassionate caregiver, or you showed up as the wisdom counsel. You showed up as the space holder for somebody. which so often is more of what they need rather than anything to do with your guidance. They need a vessel in which they are safe. And that's one of your gifts and talents. And so in that process, you knock down those internal barriers, those blocks that you have allowed to be put in place. And those barriers are, yeah, they came from some well-intentioned authority figure. Yeah, and you didn't have to keep them. Some of us thought we had to keep them. Okay, but you didn't have to keep them. And so now is your chance to look at what may have been standing in the way. Crazy thing going back to my mother and the barnstormer. Okay, so with parenting of a little girl, she, at the time, I was forever ago when I was little, okay, she was a compulsive protector. And later on, I said, isn't this sort of incongruent? You who did the barnstorming and all of that, now you want to put me in a bell jar and not have anything happen? And it finally dawned on me it was probably because she was a barnstormer. She knew all the crazy things that I might get into. And so she wanted to protect me from my ancestry, I guess. Okay. And so in this cultivating, learn to lean into personal truth. Another way of that is lean into the what you are. For right now, forget the who. Because the who is how you show up in the world, and you can design it and redesign it and recondition it and reissue it over and over and over. And you can consciously be the chameleon. That's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. When you know what it is that you're doing, and that you do not confuse belonging to the tree and fitting in with the branches. Right? When you know the difference. And so courageously expose your vulnerability. Allow yourself to be vulnerable. And that vulnerability is not about, hey, come stab me or whatever. Instead, it's about acknowledging our own weaknesses, our own journey, our own learnings, all these different things. Let them be known. Not because, yes, they're going to probably help somebody else, but the importance is so long as we pretend they aren't there, or as long as we feel we need to hide them, then that's one of those barriers that we've assumed. And so let down that barrier. Let it be okay with you as to who you really are. And so part of that letting in who we really are and looking at inventory of gifts and talents, among the things that one of my gifts is I can be present with kings and queens and the guy that lost everything and is in the tent on the street. And I'm just as comfortable with the guy on the street versus people who think they're a whole lot because of a title. And so in that ability, I have had the beautiful opportunity to travel. And when Jackie brought up her story about the Golden Buddha, I wanted to share two things about Golden Buddhas. It is the tradition in Thailand and a lot of other places to make Buddhas gold. It's an honoring, and there are golden Buddhas in Bhutan, there are golden Buddhas all over the place. Okay, and in Bangkok, there is an absolutely fabulous reclining Buddha. And the Buddha has his head on his hand and the elbow, and here is this huge, huge golden Buddha. And something interesting is he's brick inside. The reclining Buddha, this magnificent gold reclining Buddha, is solid brick inside. That's how he's constructed. And so I thought that was kind of cool to think about what is the core of our being? Are we shiny on the outside and therefore acknowledged, or are we shining all the way through? And I have had the privilege of sitting in meditation in the quiet time, in the company of 9.5 feet of solid gold. I've been there at Aryataya and been there when not only the consciousness that somehow knowing that that is inside and out. Now think about yourself and the fact that you are pure spirit as human. Therefore, you are pure gold through and throughout, inside and out. And any tendency to be less than that is just one of your stories, just one of my stories. It's about less than or incidents or whatever. Because you are pure gold just like that Buddha. Inside, outside, and you are radiant in shining that gold. And it's pure. And you're pure. So, love yourself. Love every inch, every atom of that pure gold. And embrace all the lousy decisions you ever made. Yeah, just absolutely. Embrace them, give them a hug. Just know that, okay, that's how it is. And so, embrace it all. Love it all. Love you. Love your
Sorry.
Love that too.
Love that too. On that note,
That was an A.
oh, that was an A, by the way. Thank you very, very much for that. On that note, let's just take just a moment and drop into that space of knowing that you are pure gold through and through. You are pure spirit through and through. That the radiance of 5.5 tons of gold cannot outshine you. That's what you are. Just drink it in for a moment. And then, in great gratitude, celebrate your journey with all of its hiccups, all of its wonders, and all that you have experienced and learned from that magnificent journey. Knowing it is all God, and so it is.
So it is.
Gonna be the first on the dance floor, the first to raise my hand, the first to state my opinion, the first to take a stand. I won't play it safe and wait for a sign. I'm gonna throw myself out there and let my light shine. Let it shine, let it shine. I'll let my big bright red beam of radiant light shine. I'll be on Oprah and Conan, 60 Minutes and you. I'll be talking about me and all the things that I can do. I'll be the one who sets the bar, the one who's in the know. People come to me and see where fashion trends go. 'Cause I shine, yes I shine. I'll let my big bright beam of radiant light shine. For too many I was too much, and who I was just wasn't right. Then I heard this voice from within and up above saying, you're here to be a shining light and give mercy love. So I'm going for my dreams, nothing's in my way. Comedian is my mantra, I practice kindness every day. And I take time to connect, and I take time to have fun. I wanna know I used up every drop before my life is done. So I shine, yes I shine. I let my big bright brilliant beam of radiant light shine. Woo! Good Yeah, for too many years I hid my life, fearing I was too much and who I was just wasn't right. Then I heard this voice from within and up above saying, you're here to be a shining light to give mercy love. I am a woman of power, a woman of grace. The life that I lived in every wrinkle on my face. And I love myself so I can love you too. And I know when we're connected, there ain't nothing we can't do. So let's shine, let's all shine. Let's let our big bright brilliant beam of radiant light shine. I see you shine, yes you shine. I see your big bright brilliant beam of radiant light shine. So let's shine, oh let's shine. I let my big bright brilliant beam of radiant light shine. Let's all shine, let's all shine. Let's let our big bright brilliant beam of radiant light shine.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic. So I hope you guys don't mind if I just tell a little story based on Reverend Trish's talk. As many people know, I take care of my 3 and 1.5-year-old grandchildren during the week. And my grandson Carl's been learning sign language. And he can't do the I love you like this. He can't get his fingers. So he does the I love you. And so lately so we have this little thing where we do, or I always get it wrong. He always gets it right. And so the other day he goes, and then he goes, and he goes, I love me.
Yes.
And I was like, I was in tears. He's got it.
That's how we come here, right?
That's right. So we want to keep that one up. Speaking of shining and speaking of loving, now's a time that we can all show our love. Whether you're here in person or if you're listening to this later, there are a number of ways for you to be able to give to this center so that we can continue helping others to find their magnificence and shine their light. Let the gold Buddha come through to create this world that works for us all. And so the ways that we can do this are through the app Givelify, which is why I brought my cell phone up, because you can go into your phone if you already have the Givelify app. If not, it's real easy to download it. You can also go to www.givelify.com. You can come to our website, cslmetro.org, and click the donate button, and you can either give through Givelify, which is very easy, or you can give through PayPal. We will also go back to the old era of checks, and when you go to the website, you can see our address. 7006 Ted Drive, Fairfax.
No, it's Falls Church.
Falls Church. Well, I know it's Fairfax County, you know. Falls Church. And I don't remember the zip code, but you can get that from the website. So let us first do our prosperity blessing. And then we're going to listen to some more wonderful music. So, I know that God is the source and substance of my supply. I joyously share my supply with this spiritual center.
One alien noise before we start.
Sorry, here it comes.
Beam me up.
Okay. What's on the just like this, right? I've got it. I'm gonna start. I've got it. I've got an attitude. I've got an attitude. I've got an attitude of gratitude. I thank the universe for each new day, whether it's sunny or it's pouring rain. In any situation, time or place, my grateful heart creates a state of grace. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've got an attitude. I've got an attitude. I've got an attitude of gratitude. The darkness taught me how to praise the light. Wrongness made me hunger for what's right. I haven't found a place where I don't see heaven's blessings pouring down on me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've got an attitude. I've got an attitude. I've got an attitude of gratitude.
And so in this attitude of gratitude, let us just take a moment again and go within to that space and just give thanks. Give thanks for all that is. Give thanks for the journey that each and every one of us has been on. Give thanks for knowing what we are as well as who we are. Give thanks for this center, for Centers for Spiritual Living Metro and the work that is being done to reconnect with the magnificence of each and every person on this planet. And I bless this donation that we have, this flow of abundance in all of its many forms coming into and flowing out of this center. I am so grateful for all that is, for this center, for every person involved in it, every person who listens to us either on Sundays or whenever they do. I bless each and every one. And so with that, I just know that all is good, and so it is. Now I'll turn this back over to Reverend Trish.
Thank you, wonderful, thank you, Jackie. So, we do have a few announcements. If you're here in person, they are on the insert, and for those who are not here in person, the rest of the month is online. And so Zoom and Facebook and all these other ways of being out there, and I want to give a kind of heads up on it, and that is next Sunday. Our ministerial student practitioner person, Jason Muhammad, will be talking about dropping the masks and bushel baskets. And on the 19th, Reverend Jackie will be talking about boundaries build bridges. And then we are working up to the final Sunday in March, and all of these are online, and that is Are You All In? And that will be Diane Stewart Hamlin, one of our practitioners, and is also a ministerial student. And so we are so proud of our ministerial students. We are so grateful for them and their huge consciousness, and they are giving sympathy to one another. And so just want to make a footnote that we will be back here on April. This is the Museum of Contemporary Art, Arlington, on Wilson Boulevard. We will be back here on April 2nd, and Reverend Jackie will be doing the message that Sunday.
Woohoo!
And just a little note, the music director and I and some friends will be traveling this month.
Yeah.
So, basking in the Pacific.
There we go.
So, on that note, I think we have a bit more music next.
We do, and we'll probably have some extraneous
My mind went
noise
there.
before that.
Well,
My mind went to where you're going. I was like, you're gonna love it.
I thought you were gonna get that fixed last
It's not
month.
fixed, but it's okay. Next time, it's all perfect.
It's all perfect. It doesn't need fixing. It's just sort of that.
It's extra percussion.
Now what we have to do is get it coordinated so it happens like baba boom, you know, that sort of thing. So it's timed.
Okay, so count me in.
1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Let's try and see if it works. Here we go.
I've had so many doubts along the way. Felt like life was just another bill to pay, without anything to show. But now I figured out that every day my fortune's always found within my faith. And all I needed was to let it flow, 'cause there's no wall around me, only fear has truly bound me. And all I need is trust and I am free. Oh, I'm sitting on a gold mine. Yeah, I'm sitting on a gold mine. My treasure has been right here all the time. I'm sitting on a gold mine. Oh yeah. Finally, I'm breaking through so many nights. All those people telling me I'm running high from the truth of what I am. But now I'm telling you, the future's bright. Tomorrow shines like diamonds in the sky. And all I needed was a understanding that whatever I believe in, well, that's what I receive. The riches that reside inside me, I'm sitting on a gold mine, yeah. I'm sitting on a gold mine. My treasure has been right here all the time. I'm sitting on a gold mine. Oh! Don't you listen, never listen to the voice that says you better play it safe, that says you don't have any choice, 'cause you're as gifted as an angel, as brilliant as the sun. Just say the word and heaven has begun. We're sitting on a gold mine, yeah. We're sitting on a gold mine. Our treasure has been right here all the time. Ooh, we're sitting on a gold mine. Ooh, we're sitting on a gold mine. Oh yeah, we're sitting on a gold mine. Oh, sing it with me. Ow, we're sitting on a gold mine. Yeah.
And now I invite everybody to stand up and use the insert so that we for sure are reading the same thing. That would be real handy, and you guys don't necessarily have them.
I'm looking at it.
Okay. Okay.
I need the space.
Think, yes.
Oh, okay, good. Now that we all have the same script, hopefully, together. I leave this place now, knowing something better than I knew before. I go forth into the world with a heart full of love and a mind full of good sense. I look at the world in a greater way, knowing that I have within me everything I need to create the life I desire. I give thanks for this understanding, and I'm grateful for the spirit that lives through me. And so it is. Yay! Thank you, thank you. Well, let me know.
That was awesome.
That was awesome.
That's awesome.
That was fabulous. Yay!